Hey Radicals, Chris Hoff here. This video is going to be about, our last video we were talking about what gets in the way of mental health workers admitting they're wrong. And this is going to be a video I think hopefully will be helpful to you in how once you've identified that maybe mistakes have been made or there's some harm was caused or something like that, how do you step in accountability and make amends as opposed to just maybe saying sorry or something to that effect. How might you properly make amends? And I'm drawing on the work of primarily maybe Molly Andrews, whose work I'm loving right now around the politics of forgiveness, and who I just referenced a lot in the last video. So go check that out if you haven't seen that yet. But what do we do when a mistake's been made and we want to clean it up, right? And so Bishop Desmond Tutu said, "Forgiveness and reconciliation are not cheap." And I'm on this platform, YouTube, and YouTubers have been turning the apology videos into a genre, so to speak, and some of them not so great at cleaning stuff up, but it's just turned into something that maybe has kind of cheapened, an apology in certain ways. So I think hopefully this video will be a little bit helpful once you have identified that mistakes have made or harm has been caused and you do want to step into some sense of accountability. So Molly Andrews says unilateral forgiveness is problematic. That means, letting bygones be bygones, just kind of sweeping it through the past. Those of you that have done relational therapy, families, couples, what have you, oftentimes maybe somebody that has done some harm is saying, I have acknowledged that harm. Why are we still talking about it? Can't we just move on and let bygones be bygones? And if you've done any kind of relational work, you know that doesn't go anywhere or go very far. And the reason being, at least in my opinion, is that, obviously the harm has not been attended to in an appropriate or accountable way. And and that's why it keeps showing up in particular ways, and because it has not been attended to. So Molly Andrews also says forgiveness is a two-way street. It requires acting together on behalf of justice. So this is a relational process, right? For sure. So what do I draw on whenever I know or have an understanding or have a sense that I've committed harm in some way and want to step into accountability and clean it up? And I've always drawn on the 12-step folk wisdom. And I did this in a presentation I did. And I'm going to reference this in some writing I'm doing around rupture and repair in the therapeutic relationship. But I've always drawn on 12-step folk wisdom, which I think has a really great, and their 9-step where they go out and make amends, has a really great format, the way that I was taught it. In making amends, as opposed to just saying you're sorry. And it's all drawn on what I like the work of, Molly Andrews, who does a lot of work on politics of forgiveness. I think it hits all the points that she would say you would need to do effective reconciliation, forgiveness, etc. And so the first one is naming the past or naming the harm. Making that number one, being kind of specific and clear about the harm that you are clear was done. And then asking the harmed their experiences of the harm, giving them some space to say how this experience affected them in a particular way. So naming the past, being clear about the harms done, and then creating some space and just simply asking, is there anything you'd like to say to me about how this experience was for you or what have you, and giving somebody the opportunity to step into being able to talk about it themselves. Like I said, this is a relational process working together. So, and then of course, probably the most important piece, if not, one of the most important pieces, asking how to correct the harm. Is there anything I can do to right this wrong? Is there anything I can do to correct the harm? And from the 12-step people I learned this process from, they said, if it isn't illegal or immoral, you be willing to do it. So if you're going to put that out there, that you're willing to right the wrong, then it's about, making sure you're being willing to go do that. So, and then of course, going out and doing what they asked for you to correct the harm. And that can take a lot of different forms, and it has for me. the work that I've done when I have stepped into making amends and wanting to be accountable and that kind of thing. So that's the process. You can draw on the 12-step folk wisdom, name the past, be clear on the harm done, asking the harm, their experiences of the harm, asking how to correct the harm, and correcting the harm. So, all right. And finally, Molly Andrews says that in acknowledging one's own shortcomings, one is less disposed toward condemnation of others. There's recognition of shared humanity. In the end of the last video, I said, when I asked Molly Andrews, it's a Molly Andrews quote, when I forgive when I ask for forgiveness. So there's this mutuality that happens, because oftentimes, I'm really interested in this Molly Andrews idea of getting caught in the guilty living conscious or the offended offender, where sometimes I know that somehow, or I think somehow some moral judgment is being cast on me because of something I might have done, and I get stuck in maybe this position of offended offender, and I don't want to clean up the past or clean up the harm, that kind of thing. But then what happens is somebody becomes this living guilty conscience for me. But the way to escape that is through making amends, acknowledging one's shortcoming, and in the forgiving, or in the asking for forgiveness, I forgive. And that is so very, very important. So I hope you found this helpful. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the bell so you know when the videos are up. We got more coming, and I got some student videos coming up. They're going to do some interesting stuff about some different topics. It'll be showing up on this video soon, so look out for those. And I'm sure I'll have more stuff coming. So as always, my name is Dr. Chris Hoff. Thanks for watching. Peace.